what might or might not work.
Okay.
And inside the ET, the
I'm
basic.
going to, how about if I have that email where I highlighted all those things? Should I bring that up?
Sure.
It has the frameworks for the, beyond the core. I have to figure out where the share button is. I always lose track of it. Here we go. Can you see that?
You got to do the share. I'm not seeing it.
No, not yet.
We may have to wait a few seconds before we can see something.
That's true.
Okay. Well, the share thing, the little doodad came up. Just wait. Let me try again. I did that. Said share my screen. Loading meeting content. Maybe I hit the stop sharing.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, can everybody see that?
I can see it.
Me too.
Ted and Eric?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you talk, Ron, but this is what I pulled out from the 3 frameworks. Not the courses, from the framework. So the bottom one is the proposed, and then the middle one is the digital manufacturing. I think that's the one Ted and Ron and I talked about at the forum. And the top one is the digital design and modeling. I just put the standards there, and I highlighted what I thought were kind of overlap areas. So let's hear what you have to say there, Ron.
Yeah, the only issue that we really had was trying to figure out in the digital manufacturing, we don't have any coverage really, no coverage of 16 at all.
In the digital.
Yeah, when what we're doing in additive, yeah, we don't. So the digital was kind of out. Just because there's really not more than about 1 week on CNC techniques.
Okay.
And then we do have some of the principles and concepts of fabrication, but not to the level that digital manufacturing, that specialization had. So we were a little bit stuck there.
Okay. And those are the 2 red ones that I thought had.
Yeah, those were in red.
No overlap. Okay. And so did you say you had an idea of something to do?
Well, I mean, the only other one that was in there was the one above it. We do have an actual drafting and design specialization already right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dante was really, he went over them, and he was really saying there was nothing that fit completely to what we were doing. But the one that was the most likely to fit, the digital manufacturing, was completely out because we have just a 0 coverage of one of its major, and actually all the different pieces underneath that 16.
Right.
And just weren't able to find something in there that completely fit.
So, Ted, what was your thinking at the forum? I don't think we've had these pulled up together, but
yeah, I mean, it would be nice to be able to use digital manufacturing, but it just doesn't. I don't, with 0 coverage of one of the major topics, I don't have a way to do that.
Right.
Which is the one that is not covered?
16 isn't covered at all.
No. You said it's not covered in digital manufacturing from what you guys have.
Well, from what we are doing in the additive manufacturing has no coverage whatsoever of CNC.
Okay, I misinterpreted your statement. I thought you said there's nothing there's a big one that's in your additive manufacturing recommendation.
Oh, no. No,
And
the other way around. There was just no coverage of anything that was in that actual specialization that we were doing.
okay, so your original proposal was 24 credits. So my thought was that at the forum was just create a CCC.
Well, that's a way to go about it. Create a CCC, and then I mean, it fits underneath the general framework.
Yeah, then
Digital manufacturing.
don't have. You remember with a CCC under a specialization. Number one, you don't have to use every single standard. Number one. Number two, you don't have to use every single benchmark. But the benchmarks have. But what is there is what you have to use. You can't make up a new benchmark that's not in the specialization. And you can also pull down from the core. So to fill in some blanks, you can pull some benchmarks and standards from the core into a specialization for additive manufacturing as a specialization under digital manufacturing. So you have a lot of flexibility. When I went through what you have here and what you submitted, the standards and the benchmarks, a lot of it is covered with some of the existing standards and benchmarks. Yeah, some you probably want to remove that you're not really going to be covering, but just remember, if it's there, you have to address it.
Yeah.
So when we went through this, I said, well, okay, well, don't do 15 and 16 because that's not going to have anything to do with you, especially 16, and just modify 12, 13, 14, and 17 to fit with what you're doing. Again, just make sure that you're utilizing the exact same standard wording and the exact same benchmarks, but you don't have to use all of them in a CCC.
We can definitely. I mean, I can put together a CCC relatively, within a few days because I got everything right here to do it.
Yeah.
And of course, the one person who's really important here is Dante because I have to convince him this is what we want to do. Other than when he comes back, he's probably going to miss it because I don't see him jumping in because we'll be able to wrap. What I'll do right now is I'll say let me work on a CCC, which I can use with that, which is basically I'll pull the pieces that I want, make the CCC from that, and then if I do a CCC, then what would be this? Would there be a specialization underneath the ASET that would it be digital manufacturing? I mean, what would it be?
No, it'd just be a college certificate.
Yeah, but so the ASET, the degree itself would not have a because he wants an ASET degree as part of the program.
Okay, so
what would it be?
That's what I kind of figured. That's why this got resurrected after the ET forum. So what was discussed at the ET forum, which was I don't know if you left. Yeah, I think you weren't there that second day. We were talking about the next ET forum and this, that, and the other thing. And I put out on the floor a suggestion that the next ET forum be completely 100% or as much as possible the review process for these frameworks, and that every 3 years one of the ET forums would be nothing but review, revise, and update the ET degree. And everybody was like, "Oh, that's awesome because we'll have everybody there. We'll have all the organizations represented." And so that way, what my suggestion would be is at that time, modify the digital manufacturing specialization, include some of these for that henceforth it becomes a specialization under the ET degree, but we would have updated the standards and the benchmarks to fit the needs of what you're wanting to do and what other institutions are willing to do.
That actually works fine for me. Did Marilyn tell you one of the ideas that I'd had was looking at an ASET degree that was just an ASET with no specialization attached to it?
I didn't get to that yet.
Okay.
We can certainly, if you're, I think it would be a good idea, Ron, if you went ahead and sketched out what you would do under digital manufacturing? Are you thinking like 24 hours for the, I think that's what you had for your,
yeah, I'm thinking I can fit it underneath the 24 hours, and actually I can make it so that the only one of those standards that I don't have is 16.
okay.
Just because I have no way of doing that
Yeah.
right now. We have the
Okay,
best
but
CNC
that's a
shop here in the
perfect-
world and nobody to teach.
But that's a perfect CCC, so that's, if it uses 5 of the, under that.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out at you guys. If we're gonna go through a complete, the review process, the 3-year anniversary that's coming up here in the October November ET forum,
Right.
and remember that is for the 21-22 school year, not the 2021, but the 21-22 school year, I think.
Right.
Am I correct? 18, 19.
It'll be for 2021.
2021. Okay. The other alternative would be not do anything right now. Wait till the review, do everything there, and then start fresh.
Well, that'll give me a nice fresh slate to work off of. I'm going to probably, if we're going to do a full review, it's probably worthwhile to have us all taking a look at them ahead of time.
Yeah.
So that we're coming in prepared.
Well, I just want to let you know that if we go through this exercise and we get a CCC put into the system, within the time frame that we have here with our policies, that understand it's going to be revised and reviewed almost instantaneously before even being offered.
Yeah. Let's
from
do
a
timing standpoint, it's kind of funky.
Yeah, so you really wouldn't be able to do, offer the full, since you offer I think you said do you offer digital manufacturing? No,
we don't offer digital here.
But you offer so you wouldn't be able to offer anything for yet another year, technically. I mean, I guess they could take the courses and stuff like that and then get them applied to the degree, but if we review in the fall of 18 and would they go to be approved in 19, Eric or Ted?
You're going to review them.
If we got them done in next fall, rewritten.
This fall.
During the forum, this fall.
Yeah.
And we submitted them.
February, October, November?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they get approved in the spring sometime, and then they could be officially offered the fall of 19.
Well, no, because here's the deal. The reason why I recommended the 18-19, doing it in November, it's really technically work for the 19-20 program of work. I just moved it up like 3 months just because we're going to have everybody there. If we wait until the spring, now you're waiting all the way to April of 19-20. And I mean, that could happen, but I know that this is an issue and this, you'd like to move this forward. And I know that it's been proposed to have the next meeting somewhere in the middle of the state. So I figured that's where we get our largest audience if we did it in November. But technically, it is part of the program of work for 2021.
So I guess I just want Ron to be aware of the delay in if we wait for the whole form rewrite, that there won't be one till 2021 school year.
No, 2019, 2020. I messed up.
No, 19 and 20 is the review year.
Oh, I see. Eric's got something up here. No. 18-19 is the review year.
Well, then we should be reviewing it right. Oh no. Yeah, right now, right?
We're going to review it in 18-19 for the 19-20 school year.
So we should be reviewing them right now. This is 18. You kept saying it was next year at the forum.
Well, fall of 18. It's a forum. No.
Yeah, right. I know, but they're supposed to be done by then.
Right now, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be done by then. So I thought we were going to be doing it early, but we'll be doing it at the tail end.
I've been out of it for so stinking long. I forgot.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right, 1819. So it'll be the development and for the review for 1920 work process year for the 2021 school year.
Right. Okay. So there is going to be a little delay, another year delay, Ron. So that's something you have to decide about at Daytona. What if you want to go ahead and put something through, and then it'll just get reviewed or go through with the review process, and then there'll be the opportunity to change it, but you may already have your CCC defined and can get some students in it if that's important for Daytona State.
Well, I'll probably be the one. I'll put together the CCC, which I hadn't done yet, but I can put together a CCC relatively fast.
Okay.
And that would give us the ability to start putting students at least into the CCC piece.
Right.
I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
And then build on that for if there's to modify the digital manufacturing specialization to include what you want to do, add on, that's the time to make the recommendations and all the changes and the updates. That's the time. And then you're still working with the CCC, and then when all the changes have been updated to the digital manufacturing to include what you want, then at that point in time, then it makes it a lot easier to have an ASET under digital manufacturing.
Yep.
And then
and if we were just able to get rid of, there's some stuff in 17, but if we were just able to get rid of 16 as a requirement, then we'd be good.
Well, it may be that we can, reword that and not be so specific on CNC machining centers per se. I think that's something that can come up in the review process. I don't know.
Because this is definitely written very specific to CNC.
Right.
That is correct. And I can tell you that there's only, when I look at the two CCCs that exist right now under digital manufacturing, that's the digital manufacturing specialist and rapid prototyping. There's only, in 16-17, we had only one school that had enrollment for the digital manufacturing specialist.
Yeah.
The DMS, the digital manufacturing specialist, the CCC, is the only one that has standard 16, which is the CNC. So we've got one school that's had enrollment.
Is that Gulf Coast or Northwest Florida?
Prototyping is only three standards, which is 3D digital modeling software packages, digital engineering applications for product design, and principles, concepts, and applications in digital manufacturing processes. That's the CCC for the rapid prototyping. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 schools with that. So that tells me that this specialization is really geared more towards the additive rapid prototyping.
Right.
Yeah, and I do meet all of our program meets all the requirements of the rapid prototyping specialist, CCC.
So you can offer that one right now.
You can offer that one right away with the program. It's right. Everything's there.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is that if 16 needs to be revised or removed or whatever, if it's not applicable and it's not working, then during the review process, then it can be recommended.
Yeah, to be removed.
Sure.
Well, if that's the case, then we're good. Because I don't actually have all of them, but it's not difficult for me to add in the few pieces that I don't have into the curriculum.
Yeah, do it in the curriculum, but not in the framework.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the frameworks later, or when it comes up for the review process.
Right.
Okay.
Remember, you can always teach above, you can't teach below. So if you add something in your curriculum that is up over and above the standards and the benchmarks, that's a value add to the student. But that's in your curriculum, that's not in the standards of the benchmarks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, are we set on that?
That's what we're going to have to do. I'll let Dante know.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
the other thing that Marilyn, I wanted you to, if you get a chance to, because I've looked at how this could definitely help us. Ted, one of the things I wanted to have available to AA students was the ability to complete the core of the ASET. That there's just that core is tremendously valuable to people going into any of the, and I know the AA is really geared towards people that are going on to 4-year degrees, but the way it works here at DSC is any elective, any course that they take for their final 24 hours of elective can be used as elective. So it's college credit. They can use it as elective here.
Okay.
But if we had an ASET degree that was just the core with flexibility to go beyond that core for the rest of the AS degree, it frees the students up to take the prerequisite courses to go into a lot of different areas, which would mostly be engineering, engineering tech BS, and business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tremendous value to the students being able to get an AS degree, but just be tied to the AS core courses and not have a specialization there.
See, the challenge with that is the way the core is written now. It's designed for 30 hours. It's only a half a year. So what are you going to do with the other 30 credits?
So the other 30 credits, if the students, and there would be for us, we'd do pathways. So there would be an engineering tech, and a business pathway. So kind of what Sam is doing over at Central Florida College is he's added a number of electives to his AS specialization that allows them to take the math and the sciences necessary to move on to engineering tech or engineering. Now, not quite all the way to engineering, but at least into an engineering tech degree, because we only go through Calculus 2. And engineering goes all the way through differential equations and requires both physics and a chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
But if he was to have an ASET degree that was just the core and the 30 hours were considered free elective, those students would be able to complete the engineering math and complete the engineering sciences to be able to go for a full engineering degree.
So it sounds like you just want to create a whole other AS degree that has nothing to do with this ET, but utilizing the ET degree as a foundation for the development.
Well, the ET degree is a great foundation, which is why. It's not, I mean, I don't really see it as a totally separate degree, but that core is fundamental to, when I take that core to the manufacturers here, they say, I want students who know this. I don't need much beyond this. I need this, though. So to work in a manufacturing environment, that core really does cover what those students need to come out with. Now, the skill sets beyond that core change, which is why we have specializations. But there are skill sets that we won't be able to address with any type of specialization, but having the schools being able to have the freedom to be able to say, we can grant an ASET degree, here are the classes that we're putting on top of that. So in other words, they're not free electives.
All right, so look, here's a thought. I'm hearing what you're saying. I know that this is going to sound crazy, and I got Eric in the room here, but I love brainstorming, so and problem solving. What if you had a specialization that was specifically geared towards a BS track? Meaning, you've got the core already there, right?
Yep.
And you've got students that say, you know, I don't want this to be terminal at 60 credits. I want this to articulate to you BSET, okay? And it's a different specialization, and you include the standards and benchmarks that would address that high-level math, that high-level chemistry, and things of that nature that would allow for even the possibility of you know, spreading it to a bachelor's degree statewide. Just a thought. What you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, that would work for me. I mean, that would work. And I would actually do three things. I would look at it because there's three different directions that they would potentially go that I see. One is an engineering tech bachelor's level.
Yeah.
The other one is towards an engineering degree. And the reason I see that as important because students that are coming out of an ASET, they almost universally, if they're planning on going to a BS, end up in their interviews with me. So I've got a really good feeling for where they want to go. Now, a lot of them do want to go to an engineering degree, but realize that they never had the flexibility in their AS program to take the courses that would let them articulate cleanly into an engineering degree.
Mm-hmm.
They do with an AA, but they wanted the AS because it was also an employable degree.
All right.
However, if we did take those 30 hours and throw in the pre-engineering courses, that's another specialization that would lead them towards an engineering pathway, a full engineering pathway. The third one, which I don't see as much because I'm not running a business degree, but my business counterparts over here see it, are students that are coming out of AS programs and want to continue on to a business degree. Now, what I do with the engineering path students is, because we do offer the full engineering core and the engineering tech core here at the bachelor's level, those students take the engineering core classes and apply them to their bachelor's degree. So they take statics, dynamics, thermo, engineering econ, and principles of electronics, which are the core courses of all the engineering degrees, and they all apply towards their BS degree. However, if they plan to move forward, we've given them a math shortcut because it takes too long from when they finish an AS degree. They're usually at the level of math just before calculus.
Right. So you have to give you have to have them go through some remedial or some prerequisite coursework.
Yes.
By the time at the end of their ASET, before they start their BSET.
Yes, and especially if students are planning on going engineering, if they could pick up at least the math through Calculus 2 as part of that degree, they'd have the option of going towards an engineering pathway and towards an engineering tech pathway both.
Okay, so from what I'm hearing, the option of that utilizing that 30 credits because you don't want it to be a separate AS degree, because it's tied in with what you're doing with the BS, with the AS degree, the ASET.
Yeah.
By having it as a specialization, obviously we want to. I need to see it, in November, kind of see the map out. But the other challenge you've got is if somebody stops right then and there and they say, you know what, I've had it, I'm not going on to the BS, my bachelor's degree, then what jobs can they get?
That's the good thing about it. That's actually the best thing about it because they've had that ASET core, they're employable right off that bat. I've got plenty of manufacturers that will take you with just that ASET core.
Okay, so that's going to be an important sell to say, okay, again, if somebody went through the core, then they finished an additional 30 hours with this high level, BS prep. I'll call it BS prep, okay, or pre-engineering, 30 hours. If they stopped right then and there, for whatever reason, maybe they ran out of money, maybe there's a family issue, maybe for whatever reason they leave at that point in time, then we have to really identify what are the jobs.
I know there's also some, so Ron
Yep.
and Ted and Eric, we actually wrote that framework years ago. I mean, like a decade ago, right away after we did the ET degree, and we were trying to get some funding and partnership with USF to do exactly what you're saying. But at that time, you were still at UCF. We were going to try to get it AS into the engineering college at USF, and we were really close to getting it all lined up with the people at USF and the two people who were working with us and the advising officer, wherever it was, left the college, and we kind of dropped it. But we outlined exactly what you were talking about, and the occupation thing that we we identified, besides what you said, the ET core, which is valuable, I think, across the state. Lots of people will confirm that, but was also that engineering aid kind of. I think there's actually an official SOC number for that, or assistant engineer. I don't know exactly what it's called. That also fit that level of a 2-year degree, engineering focused, but more along the engineering, kind of prepping them for the BS in either engineering or engineering technology. We hadn't really thought about connecting it to the BS ET. We were focused on USF. And so anyway, we've been down this road. We've made it fit. I think we did the two, exactly what you said, Calc 1, 2. And then they upgraded physics, whatever they needed in physics and all that. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm really excited to see it come back around myself.
Yeah. It's actually, it is because what we're doing here at Daytona, we call it the Pathways Project, but I did a lot of research into why is it difficult to get people to go into certain career paths, and the number one real reason is they see them as dead ends.
Yeah.
That there's no positive forward pathway beyond that degree.
Right.
And so what we've been working on, and what I work on, is trying to get rid of those barriers. So students selling when you're selling an AA, the sell is you can articulate cleanly to any BS degree at any of the state colleges. The problem is that we can't say that with the AS degrees.
Yeah, yeah.
But if there are articulated pathways to the AS degrees, which are tremendously more valuable. I mean, I'm watching my students walk out of here with an AS degree and make $10,000 more a year than the bachelor's students. And the argument that I get back from the people on the AA and the university side is, yeah, but after 10 years, they're then behind, which is not true. At 10 years, they're $20,000 ahead. Because they've got all that work experience and capability. So,
but you haven't convinced me there, champ. You need to have some more information on that. You have not convinced me.
Well, they do move. I mean, my bachelor's my AS guys move rapidly, but a lot of them do come back for a bachelor's too.
Ron, I'm messing with you, bro. You told us.
I mean, I know you know this. I should know. But,
So here's the marching order. Here's the action plan. At the next ET forum, let's put this on the agenda to evaluate, and even if it's just a sidebar between you, myself, and maybe Sam, if he's interested in doing this thing in Maryland, compare what you did 10 years ago and come up with something. I can't speak for Eric, but he's going to be the final decision maker on adding a specialization that would be a pre-engineering specialization. But again, the big thing on our end is there's got to be, you're going to have to show data that has the job openings in the state of Florida, job openings in your market area, in Sam's market area, maybe nationally projected employment figures from the U.S. Department of Labor, maybe from CareerSource, the Department of Economic Opportunity, for those SOC codes that you're going to identify. That's key.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. I'll see if I can find what we did, Ron, and send it to you. I don't know that we actually wrote the standards and benchmarks. I think we were trying to make sure we could get the optimal courses covered, and then we were going to back into the frameworks for the 2-year thing. So but it sounds pretty much like where you are. We just would have to develop some standards, and maybe developing the standards for the specialization in preparation for the ET forum might be something to, that would give us some talking points to start with there.
Yep. We may have to do some divide and conquer to get it all done at that ET forum. Have people break up into groups to prepare.
Yeah. we have two sections. Everybody does the core, and then we have to do all the specializations, and that's different groups of different people. So that part makes it a little bit more complicated. So we have to really plan as to how to get both of them done, all of that.
Well,
done.
I like I said, I'd facilitate that whole thing and put it all together. That it's not that hard. I mean, it can be done. But if this is going to be an added agenda item, we're going to have to discuss: is it going to be a whole group agenda item, or is it going to be a small, tiny little group off to the side while other groups are doing something?
Yeah. Okay. I think we got the idea, and we can do a little feeling out by email.
Yeah.
I think beforehand and see if it's a just like one more specialization, except it doesn't exist right now, kind of group.
That's fine.
Work group at the forum. So.
And Rhonda, it would probably be a really good idea to, since you're the guru on the actual course numbers, is to have a map of coursework that everybody could understand and say, okay, under these standards and benchmarks, these courses here address that, and here's the courses, and having a standardized, I'll say a word agreement, but an understood that everybody utilizes the same courses. It'll make it so much easier for the articulation process to the BS.
Right.
Yep. And and that actually, I can do that. And I guess Lee is the one over there that's been doing. Lee Bryant was the one over there that's been doing a lot of the programming development for the new system that was put up. So I've been in contact with him a lot because I've been coming up with suggestions to help improve the system so that I can do that, because being able to align objectives is the next level of that statewide coordination.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I know that Sam brought that up, that one school's utilizing one course, another school's using another course number, not the actual number. And if this is going to be a unified process, at least have some commonality at a rudimentary or fundamental level. Yeah, the electives I get can be some other things, but the core, that makes it easier to move on to for the universities to accept and for you guys to accept.
Yeah. We actually, again, that was another issue we addressed a number of years ago, and we presented to the ET forum all of the courses that were that intro, fundamental, basics of electronics. There were about 12 courses in the numbering system, and then we also showed how many schools were using what, and it turns out that over time, that kind of original group that was offering the ASET degree, they kind of self-corrected to the most common one.
Okay.
But the newer schools, everybody, the lowest barrier to putting in a new program is to use what you already have. So if they had one of those 12 electronics related intro courses, they would just pick that up and move it into the ET degree because they already have it at their college. And then that seemed to be the first step. Then the second step was a couple years later, they felt like, they saw everybody else was using something, and the peer pressure or whatever, they ultimately would make some of those smaller changes. And now that we've had another group of new schools come in, they've kind of done the same thing. And I don't know if that shift to the same course is changing, but it was pretty amazing to see so many courses really addressing the same topic at the same level, and how different could they be when it was introduction to electronics, basically, and the same with it.
Well, you have an opportunity here, if this thing comes to fruition, to not only standardize the standards of benchmark, which will be a given, but to, as part of the conversation, say, here are the highly recommended course numbers that schools that are wanting to offer this specialization should use.
Right.
You can't mandate it, but
of course.
It shows how it's been completely thought out, and the map has been thought out. Not only the standards of the benchmarks, but also the course numbers.
Yeah.
Well, I have a bully pulpit on that because when courses do come forward into the course, to get their catalog numbers, for the electrical, my thought is if it's part of an EET program or part of a program that concentrates on electronics, you need to start with 1011. EET 1011, and if it's part of a program where you need a survey of electronics to be able to use it for other applications, it's EET 1084. And unless you got a really good reason why you need something that's completely different, you need to let me know, because those two courses, one's designed to go on to other courses in electronics, and one's designed to be a survey, so that they both have their purpose. So so that one, I've been using that SCNS to try to get people in line.
Yeah. Right. That's great.
Well, I'm just bringing it up, and just something to think about. So,
but yeah, I
think this has been awesome. I think we've got a action plan moving forward. We're good with you're going to put a CCC together for this additive manufacturing during the review process, modifying the digital manufacturing specialization to be a little bit more aligned with what you're wanting to do to kind of make it fit better, and then addressing this idea of an additional specialization for a pre-engineering track. So you guys okay with everything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Eric, I think we just really need to tell Eric he really needs to just stop talking.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is just nonstop on and on and on and.
I think he's just taking it all in and seems to think he's proud of how much he's taught all of us.
Keep trying to take a nap, but Ted keeps punching me over here.
Oh yeah. I'm not rowing this boat by myself, son.
Okay, well, Ron, Daniele evidently recorded this conversation, so we can cut out the last jibe to Eric. But if Dante wants to listen, we'll send you a recorded link.
Got it.
The following do not necessarily reflect the opinions and policies of Eric Owens and Ted Norman of the Florida Department of Education.
Yeah, right. So
that's recorded. Okay, we're good.
Good news for you. You'll be seeing advanced manufacturing coming from Valencia here in the next year.
I know. I'm working on it. I'm working with them.
Yeah,
I've been working with them for a year. So the next forum is going to be at Pasco Hernando, and it's sometime in the middle of October.
Okay. You probably want to get that. I mean, the dates, as quick as possible, so I can put it on my calendar.
Okay, I think we actually know when it is. I just don't remember right this moment. We'll send out an email pretty soon.
Yeah, send something out that I can at least block it off on my calendar, and that way I know not to, schedule anything.
Well, maybe you'll even have a helper in your old position.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
I feel like Sisyphus.
Yeah, you should.
Rolling that rock up the hill.
Yeah. All righty.
I did like the slide, this spot available at the last forum.
I know, that was great. You could be here.
Right?
Yeah, it was great.
I took a picture of, I'm telling Eric now, he never saw the presentation. I took a picture of my empty space over there.
Yeah.
Turned the seat around and I put like arrows. Hey, this could be you sitting here. That's. So,
I guess Eric, you didn't get a flood of applications.
Well, we're interviewing tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Great. Awesome. All righty.
All right. Well, I got places to go, people to meet, and all the world to conquer here in about 15 minutes. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm glad that we could iron this out. And Ron, you're going to have to fight your battles internally with Dante. So.
Yeah, I got it. I got it covered.
Right.
Please write your calendars. Sorry, October 18 and 19, ET Forum.
Got it.
Hernando State College.
All right, thank you. I'll put it on my calendar. But send an email to me anyways.
Yes, we will. We will be in
thank you so much.
Too.
All right.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, see you. Turn this off.